Hi, my name is Dan Zeilinger, and I have been a world-traveling full-time trad jazz musician for the past 40 years. Some of my most memorable performances were on the lawn of the Edinburgh Castle, at Imperial Palace in Japan, as well as TV shows and commercials across the world. I've met many people during my career and have spent many hours on stage and off with these musicians, talking about jazz, life, and more. Some are touring musicians, some are theme park warriors, and some are casual musicians who play on the weekends with friends. I think they all have stories worthy of a movie script, and through these interviews, I'll be sharing them with you.
Hi there, this is Dan Zeilinger for Trad Jazz Today, and my guest this afternoon, or this morning I guess it is now, isn't it, is a longtime friend, one of the stalwarts of West Coast traditional jazz, and I'm fortunate to say that I've worked with him a couple times. Here's my friend Jim Maihack. Hi, Jim.
Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's morning. I don't know. I'm confused. You're not the only one getting old here, sir.
Well, I know that. it just hit me all of a sudden, just about a week or two ago that, whoa, I'm not 60 anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't know this, but I'm a type 2 diabetic, and it's basically make it difficult for me to move around a lot, especially with a sousaphone on.
So, yeah.
So I understand. I've already interviewed Bob Ringwald, and I've interviewed Scott Anthony.
Oh.
And I've interviewed a few people that told me I had to interview you. That's why I've been so doggedly after you. Just to let you know. So it's your fault.
Yeah, I'm getting more excited by the moment.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. So let's go through some of the questions I'm asking. They're all easy. The first one is, where were you born?
Wait a minute now. I was Rock Island, Illinois.
Yes. And in case I've actually done some research, because I'm doing that research on everybody I've seen, and you started out on accordion.
Hey, very good.
I'm not sure I'm not sure you can still be my friend. No, I'm kidding.
I haven't played it in a long time, Dan.
Once upon a time, my mother-in-law found one at a garage sale and bought it for me, and I asked her why, but it didn't matter. Anyway, now, was that a purchase that happened because you had it around the house, or was it door-to-door salesman selling accordions, or how did you end up on accordion?
The door-to-door salesman. He sold my parents an accordion. They sort of asked me about it, and I don't know if they even listened to my answer, but he sold them an accordion and lessons and accordion band every Tuesday night, and all this and that and the whole thing. And I said, yeah, I guess so. This was bear this in mind. This was in 1941, before World War II even started.
Okay. How does a 6-year-old hold an accordion up?
It was a small one.
Because I had an accordion for a while as an adult, and I found it unwieldy, personally.
Well, I don't know. You get used to it.
So when you actually started playing band instruments, was that junior high or high school, or where did that happen?
Well, there was the thing in between there. For the heaven was about 8 or 10. My dad was a banjo player. My dad could have been a really good banjo player, I think, if he never really, decided he wanted to do it. But he showed me half a dozen chords, and I sort of figured out the rest. So that lasted until, well, when I got into junior high school, age 12 is when I picked up the trombone.
Okay, and you play banjo too, of course. Still.
I do, yeah.
On occasion.
Not much, but not often, I mean.
Hang on, I'm going to shut off my phone here so we're not interrupted. Burp. Excuse me. I know because of your famous recording you did, I'd rather do it myself. I know that you play everything and pretty well.
Well, I wrote the arrangements and I wrote them in such a way as that there wasn't anything that I would have too much trouble with. And, it was so sound as though it was musical.
Yeah, I've also interviewed Les Deutsch, and he
Let's do
said
it.
you guys always wanted to play a big band all by yourselves. Or
I guess so. I can't really associate that with Les, but I know he's a good friend. Very, very nice guy.
Oh yeah, and of course I met both of you when I was with the Frogs. But your first band instrument was trombone then.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Did you go right into private lessons?
No, I just the classes in the junior high school. I just sort of, I learned the different positions and kind of went by ears sometimes and tried to read the music as best I could. And after a while, I don't want to get ahead of you, but after a while, it didn't take me long to discover the 7 positions on a trombone correspond to 7 different fingerings on a trumpet or a tuba or anything.
Yeah, I learned that too. But as a novice trombone player, I really found 4th and 5th position and 6th impossible to find at a moment's
they're
notice.
really, they're there.
I know, but I'm saying that I went the other way. I started on trumpet and then tried to go to trombone. And so I understood, the first 4 positions. But when I got down to the bottom, I don't know. Positions?
The positions between, closed, which is first position, and onto the bell. That's 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Then 4, 5, 6, 7 are out there on the other side of the bell, and they're after you play them wrong and badly long enough, you finally discover how to get close enough to make it sound like it's supposed to sound.
That's wonderful. How did you fall into tuba?
This was in high school. My good friend Bill Allred, who I'm sure you know, he and I were in high school together. We graduated. He graduated a year behind me. We sat in band class together and ate our lunch instead of listening to the clarinets and all kinds of things. And we put a little band together with a fellow by the name of Bob Cook. I don't know if you ever knew him. And a tuba player who was also. We put the little band together, and I had already sort of figured out the figures on a trumpet. So I asked the tuba player, okay, I played a note. I said, what note is that? And he showed me what it was on the staff, and I knew what to do. So I learned to play. I learned to play tuba by teaching him, I think. And actually, got to the point that was when I played more than anything else for a long, long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're a great tuba player. I know that before I got talked into the playing with the Hot Frogs, that you would jump back and forth between many instruments, either on piano or trombone or tuba, whatever they needed at the moment.
Yeah, I was. Who was the trombone player they had?
Oh, when I joined, it was either Steve Tyler or Jason Stock.
Jason Stock, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason was a great player, but he kind of had a stubborn streak. I think sometimes he didn't get along too well with Donnie Ashworth.
Who did?
Somebody was it. Joe did.
Oh, not towards the end, but that's a different story.
We shouldn't talk like that. That's not nice.
That's true. But I do have the reputation of being the guy who killed the Hot Frogs band, since I was their last tuba player.
Oh, really? Hey, congratulations or something. I don't know.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was talking. It seems that everybody in Southern California has been through that band one way or another.
Yeah, it kind of does seem that way. The list goes on and on and on. Yeah, Ringwald has played. Yeah, Ringwald sometimes will play piano, and when Les Deutsch couldn't do it, and sometimes I'd play piano and somebody else.
Yeah.
But we made it work. And it was a good band.
Oh, you betcha.
Yeah.
It was pedal to the metal all the time. That band was a workout.
Yes, it sure was.
I
I enjoyed it. it gave me emphasis.
Now, I want to get back. I want to go back again because we kind of jumped way over things like the Dixie Lads and, uh, and and some of the earlier bands. Now, the Dixie Lads was the name of that first band you were in, right? With Bill.
Well, yeah. The Dixie Lads sort of evolved from the little four-piece band we had with Bill and I were in high school. There's a local drummer there in Rock Island named Gus Tripolis, and the cornet player. You may know or have known Don Odette. Did you ever know him?
Okay, no, I don't. But I know he found he was the head of the big Spiderbeck festival, right?
Oh yeah, he was that. But before that, there in Rock Island there was a little place they called the 20th Street Strip. It had about 2 or 3 nightclubs, and you'd play one week in one of them, and the next week you'd be over the other club, and somehow it always sort of worked that way. And we had had a thing we called it I hate to say, I think it was called the Dixie.
Okay.
And they were in the band before I was, and I came in with the banjo, and well, actually they were playing what was more or less modern jazz at that time back in the 50s, and I came in and somebody the player owner of the club said, "Why don't you guys try playing some Dixieland?" And so we did, and the next night I brought my banjo in, and it was set. That was the Dixieland.
Huh.
5 10.
And of course, that band led you into Rosie's eventually, right?
Well, yeah, but with a couple stops along the way. With
what stops were those?
Smokey Stover.
Oh, that's right.
Smokey Stover, yeah, he was a hot trumpet player. I mean, he was really good.
And Clyde Mccoy.
Yeah, I was with Smokey Stover for about 2 or 3 months, and then my friend Stan Black. I don't know if you ever met him. He was a string bass and tuba player, and he got on Clyde McCoy's band before I did. I was on Smokey's band, but the minute the piano player called or quit, I mean, the minute the piano player dropped out, he was on the phone to me immediately, and I looked at my bass sheet from Smokey, and I looked at what McCoy was playing, and I said, "Okay, I'll see you in a week or 2." And that's how I got there with Clyde McCoy. I did that for about 2.5 years. That was quite a long time out on the road.
Wow. And I think I had a chance to see the act at Rosie O'Grady's. We went through there when I was doing that Southern Comfort Band with Dan Barrett and those guys. And
I remember. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I went through there and I saw that show, and that's where I met a lot of the guys. And wow, what a show! You know, with girls hanging from the flags and bells going off, and a real production.
Oh yeah. There were most of us loved it, but the diehards thought it was terrible. One jazz person who's head of a jazz club somewhere in the Midwest, I won't go any farther than that. he wrote a review on Rosie O'Grady's. It says lots of hoopla and bells and whistles. At the bottom it said some Dixieland.
Oh man, no, it was incredible musicians, and people, especially critics, constantly forget who we're actually serving as musicians, and that's the audience. It's not the critics, and it's not the other guys on the band, and it's not the venue operator. We're there to serve the public, and I think a lot of people forget that.
They seem to. I'm playing on a band right now, the Cell Block 7, local figure out Sacramento here. Anyway, the Cell Block 7 here, I write these things and the guys say, "Oh, that's not terribly good arrangement." Or do we have to play that? And I have to tell them, "Look, guys, I'm not writing the arrangements for you. I'm not writing the arrangements because I want you to enjoy them. I want something that the people who are listening are going to enjoy." And it never got through. A couple of the people on Trent Murphy's band never got it.
Really? That's surprising.
I don't think Turk ever got it, really. I remember one time we were playing Just a Closer Walk with Me. Yeah, I didn't mention Turk's band. He was in there somewhere along the line, too. But
Oh yeah.
we used to play close and walk with me quite a bit over the weeks. And somebody set up a request for it. And Turk, excuse my French, Turk said, that damn thing's getting as bad as Muskrat Ramble. So we never played it again.
Amazing. Amazing. You know, I also interviewed Don Neely.
Oh yeah.
And of course his band, it was his band, and then Scott Anthony would do the breaks for a while, and then then Turk's band, right?
Yeah, right.
Wow. And
Yeah,
you also did the breaks, didn't you?
Yeah. While all this was going on with Scott Anthony and John Dealey was when I was in Florida. But I joined Turk on tuba.
Uh-huh.
It was actually almost the first real tuba gig I ever had in my life. I had played for a couple of weeks at the Mississippi Valley Fair back in Davenport, Iowa, a few times, some years before that. And like I said, I knew how to play the tuba. I knew how to do. And so I went to Turk was very apprehensive because, you know, I thought I had played the tuba. So I got to play banjo with him one night. And he said, well, you play banjo as well as you play the tuba. And I said, yeah, I do. I think it as well. So the next day we had a little rehearsal and we played one song. He said, I guess I don't have to hear any more than that. And I was just glad. And so it's
Well, truth be known, when I met you, I was really intimidated because I knew you had been Turk's tuba player, and I may not have shown it, but you know, I was going, oh man, are you kidding me? I've got to play behind the guy who played tuba for Turk. It was like intimidating.
Well, the Turk tuba parts were basically like a lot of the parts. The clarinet part, the cornet part, they were written out, but it wasn't necessarily intended that you play the note for note. It's you know, if you listen to Leon Oakley or Bob Schultz or some of those guys, they get pretty far away from what it says on the music down there. And but I always kind of stuck pretty much to the notes that were on the page, probably because I was not quite sure whether how far afield I should drift. So you could have played any one of those tuba parts every bit as well as I did. I'm sure you could have.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You're kind. Now, from there, see, from Turk's band, you went to the Golden Gate Rhythm Machine. Is it you started that? Was that the next move?
No, I played with Turk. Let me get this straight. I played with Turk, and I went in on tuba, and then the tuba player that he had for a long time, Willie Carroll. Are you hearing me?
Sure.
You're totally out. I don't speak to you anymore. It's all right. And Willie Carroll had gotten one of those things that musicians go through where they feel like they got to go out and earn and make an honest living and a job that will make some money that they can live.
Foolish people.
Yeah, I know. I tried it a time or two. It didn't work for me either. But he told Willie Carroll, whenever you want to come back, you let me know. So as it is, I turned. He got Mike Waltridge for about 6 months, but that didn't work out for some reason. I don't know why. And then that's when I came in and told him I wanted to try it. And I ended up playing the tuba with him for 3 years. During which time, you know, and right at the very end, like Willie Carroll decided he wanted to come back again, which kind of left me out in the cold because, you know, I had known all along that was the case. But, you know, get this sounds like it's out of some B movie. We were playing, you know, the guy who had played piano in Mauritius, you know, Clancy Hayes had done it for years, but Clancy had died, and they had this guy from down in Lisbon Beach, I think, who came up and played. Anyway, one night he just packed up and left. He said his kids had been playing with their chemistry set. They started a fire and burned half the house down. And I said, oh my gosh. So, you know, which is pretty tough, but I said, well, what are we going to do for an intermission? And since I was already on notice anyway, I jumped up just like the hero in a movie and said, oh, yeah, I'll do it. I can do it. So for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I would play sets with the tuba, with the band and tuba, and then they'd get off about 1 tune early And then I'd play the piano intermission, and then I'd go back and play with the band again. And I did that for several weeks until Willie came on the band. And then I talked to Chuck, and I talked to the piano player. So anyway, I said, am I still on this? Do I still get this job now? And, oh yeah, yes. As long as you want to sing here and play piano, you can do it. You do a good job. So that's why I stayed with Chuck. I stayed with Goons for another year and a half before I finally went to Florida, and that was where I ended up getting that job.
Okay. It's all right.
All right.
And when you got back to Cal, how did you end up in the Frogs? How did that happen? Because you've never been a Southern California guy per se.
No, I haven't. I never really have been at all. I'm trying to think exactly what happened. The tuba player they had for so long, can't remember his name.
They had Dave Wright.
Dave Wright, that's the guy, yeah.
He was the guy I replaced eventually.
I guess Dave Wright he decided to quit or something. And I remember I was staying there someplace and talking to a lot of these frogs. I just sort of just mentioned that I could probably do the job. And they all sort of perked up their ears, and it just happened just like that. And everybody seemed happy, and I was very happy. I had just talked to Bob Schultz a week or two before. Schultz had this band, which he still has, and his piano player was not. There was some disagreement or something. So Schultz had just asked me to play piano with him. And then I had to call him back a week or two later and say, hey, listen, I just joined the Hot Frogs. And I don't think Bob liked that very much either, but I thought it sounded like a gig that I could hang on to, and actually, something could happen because of it.
Yeah, I understand. Now you've spent some time playing with Pat Yankee too, haven't you?
Well, yeah. Well, all the years I was at Earthquake Buffoon, she was the featured vocalist. So I played with her for a long time. In fact,
Yeah,
I still do.
I had a chance to play with her once. I think I was subbing for Ray Cadd or something at Sacramento. And wow, is she an impressive person to have as a leader. Knows her keys. She knows how to direct a band. I've never met a more impressive singer who knows how to front a band,
Yeah, well, she had her own band there for several years, Pat Yankee and the Sinners. In fact, Willie Carroll, the tuba player I mentioned, before he joined Turk, he played with that, as well as Phil Howe. Do you ever remember him? He was a clarinet player, really good player. And I think it was through him that I met Pat originally. And we've always gotten along real well.
Yeah, I actually heard a rumor that you used to chase her around the schoolyard, but I know that's just a rumor.
No, I chased her around the room. No, nothing like that. My record is spotless as far as that sort of thing is concerned. What makes me kind of seem like a funny guy sometimes, I guess, but that's just the way I've always felt.
Yeah. Speaking of a spotless record, I was surprised to find out you actually taught music in the school system.
Yeah, for one whole year.
Okay, Mike, you see my son who's been working with us, Aaron, he's a band director, and I work in high school bands all the time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's
go
ahead.
That was the beginning of that was my last few days with Clyde Mccoy, because we had played in Las Vegas. We were there for 6 or 8 weeks or something, playing Sugar Blues 3 times a night. It really was fun. And we had another gig in Reno, but it wasn't for a month or so, and we didn't have much in the interim. So we got booked in a place called the Eldorado Hotel in Sacramento, which I had never been there. was an old guy by the name of Frank Sebastian. That name kind of rings a bell with a lot of people who really are, old timers. Someplace recently, I saw a picture of Louis Armstrong with a sign behind him, Frank Sebastian Presents. So, but he was the owner of the hotel, or at least the guy that took care of directed the entertainment. And he heard of Clyde Mccoy, and he knew Clyde from way back. So we got booked in there for about 2 weeks. And as it turned out, we ended there playing there about 6 or 7 weeks until our gig in Reno came up. And during that time, I got to spend quite a bit of time. I went over to Sacramento State, where they had a very, very good stage band, a lot of good players. Two of the trumpet players went off with Stan Kenton about a year after that, and other people in the band were just as good. And I got to know them. I still had 2 years of college that I had to finish in order to get my BA. So, and then I talked to in addition to Clyde McCoy as the entertainment in the hotel, they had their house band. So I talked to those guys, the band leader particularly, and I sort of hinted around that I wouldn't mind coming back and playing with them full time and living in Sacramento. He thought that was a great idea, as did Frank Sebastian. So I came back, had a job immediately. I worked for about 4 years to the job, finished college, got married, all the things that I've been wanting to do. And all of a sudden there I am in Sacramento, a college graduate with all everything that I've always sort of wanted. And I was going out for a master's. That's the way they do it in these colleges. You get your 4-year degree, and they immediately encourage you to go right into the master's for college music education. And I wasn't really all that excited about it, but I went into it. And after about 2 or 3 weeks of school had just opened. I got an emergency phone call from up in Grass Valley, where I used to go to Nevada Union High School. So the guy who was head of the music department had just died of a heart attack, and they didn't have anybody. And so the head of the music department, Norm Hunt, good trombone player, he asked me if I'd be interested in it. Sure, why not? So I went up there. I drove up there one afternoon. It's about an hour's drive, and I came back that night with a job. I was more surprised than anybody. So I thought, what the heck? My main concern was I never really directed a band or anything. You might remember when we were down in what is it, Bear Mountain, where I was going on to work with the Sacramento Jazz workshop. Yeah, I was all nervous about it. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So even after teaching school for an entire year, I still was nervous about it. But I got up there and I got up for these kids as a band director, started moving my stick around, and believe it or not, it actually worked. And I was so delighted that I spent the first few months just being happy I could do it. But by the end of the school year, I decided that music education was a wonderful job, but not for me.
Yeah. You know David Johnson, right?
Yeah, I can't really picture.
He was with the Wooden Nickel Band for a while, and
yeah, of course.
he played in that band with Bonnie and Bob and stuff. He's a junior high school music teacher, and I talked to him the other day, and I said, "Bless you guys, I can't do that age group. Those kids just have so much energy and don't know what to do with it." So I've taught high school level for a while as a music person, but junior high school, that early, between 4th and 7th grade, God bless the people who do that. That's not for me though,
Well, just music education altogether is just not for me. So I got a job with the state of California as a computer programmer.
I saw that. How did that? I mean, how did computer programming come into your field?
Well, they had a test, thing you fill out, you answer a bunch of questions or whatever, which it shows if you have an aptitude toward computer programming, and seemingly I did. I found out later that an awful lot of things that you do when writing a computer program are very similar to the things you do when you're writing a band arrangements. Like with repeats and solos and codas and cut to letter A and all that sort of
Right,
stuff.
right.
And anyway, it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. I did it for 2 years, and that was when I got the call from Chuck Murphy, and I had to think about it for a while because it was a good job, but Chuck went out.
Well, that's kind of the choice I would have made too, actually. So, what can you do, And so now so you went, okay. I'm getting my head wrapped around the fact you were playing with Fulton Street for a while, weren't you?
No, not really.
Not really.
No. I played the place called Capone's. I don't know if you've heard of
Oh,
that.
Bill Dendel told me about Capone's.
Yeah, Capone's was on Fulton Avenue,
Okay.
and hence they made Bill Borcher, who had the Sacramento Jazz Festival Jubilee. He decided that the Fulton Street Band sounded better, so that's why they called it that.
Oh,
But
okay.
I stubbed there once in a while, and oh yeah, okay, have to put it together in my own head. I was working for the state of California. That's right, and I got hired to play at Capone's on the weekends, and we did that. We played for and then when Phil Howe, whom I mentioned a little while ago,
Yeah.
had gotten a call from Turk, and I said, and he told me if I was interested, Turk might be needing a tuba player. So the following night when I went into Capone's, I told Bob Ringwald, you remember I said if I ever got a chance to play with Turk Murphy, I'd probably just drop everything and go and do it. And Turk, or rather Bob, he looked at me. He can look at you. You're the blind person I ever saw who could look at you. But he looked at me and said, "Uh-oh," and he was right. And then that's kind of just connects it all.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. So am I.
No, it's
So
okay.
what happened?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we might have had our screen freeze there for a minute. This internet stuff is kind of dicey still,
There was one thing. You talked about the Golden Gate Rhythm Machine. Yeah, that's Scott Anthony and Bob Schultz and John Moore. Maybe you knew him.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
get Bob Schultz to do an interview with me too. I haven't gotten a reply from him yet, but that's
Well,
okay.
Yeah, well, tell him I said it was okay.
Okay, I'll let him know because that's important actually.
Well, but anyway, when I was playing there at Capone's, they put together this group. They called themselves the Boondockers. Did you hear of them?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Because we played some of the Sacramento festivals in the '80s, I guess. It was Ringwald and I remember the name of. Boy, here I go. Well, anyway, there were five of us, and Art Terry, he played the gut bucket, the washtub, and he was the guy with the voice. He had some of the damnedest jokes you ever heard. He could crack up an audience like nobody I've ever worked with. I mean, he was just something else. And we were playing at the Sacramento Festival. We were all playing with different bands, but we had one set every night, about 10 o'clock at night, after the kids had gone to bed, and so we could throw in some of the more adult entertainment, if you will. And we they loved us. We got several gigs right around here and there and everywhere. But then, as so often happens, there was a problem between the guys, and we didn't agree on a lot of things. The band just finally just dissolved, which I thought was a terrible sin because it was probably the most entertaining band I've ever played with.
Huh.
And the people, once again, it's like we said before, you don't ever take into consideration that you're not playing to or you're not playing or doing whatever you do to entertain yourself. It's the people that are out there. And if the people that loved us, we could have had all the gigs we wanted, but it just didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. You've cut a lot of sides with a lot of different bands as far as your recording is concerned. You've got a pretty big discography. I can't even say it. You've got a discography out there that's pretty long. That doesn't sound right either. Anyway, you recorded a lot is what I'm trying to say. and
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say because I remember when we did our little stint up in Seaside, Oregon, you were copying your I'd rather do it myself cassette tapes there.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, but talk about some of the bands you've recorded with.
Okay, well, I suppose the first one I should talk about is Clyde Mccoy. That was the first album, the LP album. That was in 1962. Matter of fact, I've got it right here in front of me. I don't know. Can you see this?
Sure.
What does it say? It says Clyde McCoy Blue Prelude, and it was so named because every song on the entire album had the word blue in it. You know, Am I Blue and Blue Tango, Tin Roof Blues, Blue Moon, Black. And that was yeah. I wanted to mention that anyway. That was when I had been playing with Clyde for maybe a year at the most, and I was still kind of young and nervous about going into a recording studio in Chicago with a couple of well-known people like John Frigo, bass player. I don't know if you know him, but anyway, I just decided to do it, and I decided, this is the first time I really had ever written a band arrangement, and I wrote Am I Blue, which is supposed to be kind of a lonesome, unhappy, Am I Blue, but Am I wrote it like that, and just all of a sudden, just to kind of on the back of my head, I came up with this arrangement. And we recorded it, and everybody was happy with it.
Oh, cool.
And I'm thinking, here I am, I'm 26 years old, and the only thing I ever really wanted to do in my life was play with a good Dixie Land band, and I played with 2 or 3 of them already. And I thought maybe if I could get a right arrangement, but here I had already written one arrangement in my life, and it was on a Mercury record label. I'm thinking, I've accomplished everything I ever wanted to do when I'm 26.
What was left?
Yeah, more of the same. That's basically it. But in addition, I just did the one recording with Clyde, but I guess I did at least 12 or 14 things with her altogether, various things. There was one Christmas album we did, and another one that was made for a special party that we played for. They were just recorded the whole thing, and it came out pretty well. And what else? Oh, I did, I guess, 4 or 5, half a dozen recordings with the Rosie O'Grady band. But I guess I probably enjoyed that band just as a band as much as any band I ever played with. It was just the musicianship that you mentioned was just great. And whatever we wanted to do, we could do it. There was never anything holding us back. And all the fun that we had there, and all the girls that came in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In fact, that's where I met my wife Wendy for Rosie O'Grady's. She and her little girlfriend and hers, named Brenda, they come in on Wednesday nights, which was nickel beer night for the women, so they could have 3 or 4 beers for cost of 20 cents or something. And then they would stand there and look at me which I never noticed apparently. But one night I was talking to him, and I really was quite impressed with this girl, Wendy. I said, hey, in fact, there's one of the other people in the band that said, hey, she's not run of the mill. She's somebody special. I said, I could see that. Like I saw it well enough that we were married 6 months later. I just had to throw all of it in.
Oh, sure. Yeah. In fact, and you're still playing.
I'm still playing. Yeah, I'm still playing. Not
Oh,
doing much right with this virus that's going around. And goodness,
Yeah.
Everything is shut down. I was playing, 2 or 3 nights a month as a rule, and other things. But the last gig I played was about the first week of March. Well, then I've got one tomorrow, but it's just a free thing to play for a friend of ours.
Yeah, I didn't realize until I interviewed Bob that he wasn't playing anymore. I hadn't heard, so.
Bob Schultz.
No, Ringwald.
Oh, Ringwald. Yeah. Well, yeah. He's kind of Well, he told you about his disability.
Yeah, I love Bob. He's a great guy.
Yeah, sure.
When I met Bob, I didn't know him. I had no idea who he was. It was up at that Seaside, Oregon job. And we were on stage, and it was Probert and you and Bill Dendel. And all of a sudden you bring this blind guy up to the stage and say, Dan, somebody wants to sit in. And I had no idea who he was, how able he was. I went in my own head going, excuse me, you guys want a blind guy to sit in on this band? Anyway, needless to say, I was happily mistaken about his abilities, and he slapped me around for it ever since. But
Yeah, he's an absolutely amazing guy. And he's very matter of fact about it too. We always used to kid him. Now don't have too much to drink tonight, Bob, because you got to go out in the corner and sell pencils in the morning, things like that. And it just rubbed right off his back. He didn't seem to bother him a bit. So I finally quit doing it. What the heck is not any fun of it? He enjoys it.
I was thinking about him the other day, about the fact that we kind of live in a society that does nothing but complain at times. And here's a guy who is just does what he wants to do, and nothing's ever stopped him from doing anything, and he's very cool, and I just think he's a great example for people to kind of live by,
Well, yeah, I agree. Matter of fact, he almost came to work. I don't know if you can see my dog here, but even whether you can or not is not really important.
No, but I have to tell you that I interviewed Eli Newberger for this channel, and he spent the first 10 minutes with his dog on his lap, and you couldn't see his face. So anyway, I don't mind dogs at all.
Oh, good. Anyway, let's talk about Bob Ringwald. Just came with a hair's breadth, or whatever you call it, of coming to work with us at Rosie O'Grady's. His daughter got a job in the chorus of the show Annie. You remember that? She got a job there in the chorus, which led to movies, and she was a big hit star, Molly Ringwald, back in the 80s. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, she did that whole line of John Hughes movies, and she was on a couple sitcoms for a while.
Yeah, right. So Bob kind of hit it lucky, I guess. That they're lucky that he didn't join Rosie O'Grady's, because he was about ready to do it. But I certainly wouldn't blame him for not doing it in that situation. Miss Molly's she's a real star. She still is. So she's just a really sharp gal.
Yeah. Speaking of Rosie's again, I actually sent a message to Bill Allred to see if I could get him on the channel, and I worked with his son several times, with John, and so I'm actually hoping they'll both respond to me, because that would be a kick to put on too.
Oh yeah. Bill is good. Johnson is turned into a whiz of a player. My gosh, yeah. As I always say about him, I've known him since before he was born.
Yeah,
I
true.
remember Bill Dunn, although his first baby was a girl, and I remember Bill saying, "I hope it's a boy this time." And sure enough, it was quite a boy.
It's great when you can have lifelong friendships like that. You know, I've got a couple in my life, and it's such a nice feeling to know there's somebody who knows you that well. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I just got a sort of some complimentary things from Bill already. He sent me some pictures of gigs that we were on when we were with the Dixie Lads. We only did that for a few months, I guess, but we played a couple of places, like uh, I don't know, Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska, and a few other places like that. And it was a great deal of fun.
Yeah.
That was Don Odette, like I said, he was the cornet. Excuse me.
No problem. I'll do the same. L'chaim.
Okay. And that brings us right up to 1980 or something.
You remember the old days when all of us had a beer on stage? Anyway.
Yeah, it's still going on.
It's not like that anymore, you know. Everybody has Diet Cokes or water.
Hello there. Wendy just came in.
Oh, hi, Wendy. Thank you so much for. Oh, good. Come on camera for a minute and say hi. Yeah.
Hi, Dan.
I'm glad you remembered me when I accosted you online.
Absolutely.
But you guys have always been so kind to me, you know.
Voices of the past. That was very kind of you to say. But you know, there's all you people out there that have been friends with us for so many years. Like actually, if you think about it, more like 40 some years for an awful lot of people. So that's pretty amazing. So we haven't forgotten everybody's name anyway.
No, that's good because I'm forgettable sometimes, you know. I was just about to tell Jim that when we did that festival in Seaside, Oregon, somebody taped it. And
really?
Yeah, and so there are individual songs I put up on Facebook now, and Jim's on them. So
We'll have to look.
So yeah, have a look. The other thing, I have a channel that's Daniel E. Zeilinger, where I'm going to drop all that stuff. It's just my name, but make sure to put the E on it, or else you get an Austrian bodybuilder. Daniel E. Zeilinger, and I'm not kidding. There's actually an Austrian bodybuilder named Daniel Zeilinger. So
That's perfectly right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm here to pump you up. Oh.
Jeez.
So Jim, listen, I'm glad Wendy's there. I'm gonna wind down the interview, but I want to give you time to mention anything you'd like to talk about, or perhaps even let people know where they can hear your music. If you have music available anywhere.
I still have an awful lot of recordings in the garage that I could sell real cheap.
Well, that's important. I mean, you have a lot of those I'd rather do it myself recordings still?
Yeah. So I made a big mistake when I did those cassettes that you mentioned. And I ordered like 500 or 1,000 of them. And they just sold like that. They were gone in a week. And I thought, oh, this is great. So I could go a step better. So I made a CD and I added about half a dozen more songs. And I thought, the people are going to buy it. Nobody cared at all. Oh yeah, that's fine. We've got your cassette. Yes, but there's half a dozen by that time they were gone. So as it is, I've got lots of them. If you don't have one, I'll send you two or three.
Yeah, I don't have one. That would be nice. I'll send you my address, my snail mail address, and I'd love to have it. It'd be great. Well, listen, I'm
there.
Dan,
they are. Scott Anthony, Golden Gate Rhythm Machine. On his website, he has all our stuff for sale too.
Okay, I've already interviewed Scott actually for this channel.
Cool.
So if you go to YouTube and you look up Trad Jazz Today, you'll see 12 different interviews with people you know that I've already published. And I probably have another 20, 25, 30 coming. So
It's too bad. It's too bad you missed Jim Cullum. Or did you have a chance?
No, I missed Jim. I missed George Probert. I missed a bunch of people I really should have. But I didn't start this until March when I had nothing else better to do.
Yeah, really.
But thank you guys again. Jim, I love you. I'm glad we've talked you into doing this. Well, that wasn't so hard, was it?
No, not at all. I mean, as I've always said, you could be talking about myself, and it's hard to shut me up.
I found that to be true with me too. In fact, when I'm interviewing people, I have a hard time not talking about myself. But but that's me. I mean, that's me all over. So.
Oh, what the heck?
So much about me. What do you think about me? No, I'm kidding. And
I know.
And Bob Ringwald and Scott Anthony and Bill Dendel, and I was serious. All these guys said I better interview you or else they were going to disown me. So thank you again.
You sure they didn't say if you interview him, they're going to disown you?
I hope we have a chance to be on the same stage again.
I hope so. The sooner the better, or at least have a chance to get together.
I'd love that. If need be, I'll drive up and bring you some McDonald's. I don't know.
We'll have to stand at the safe 6 foot distance and wear masks, of course.
Oh, that's all right. All I have to do is make sure that we have a length of a trombone between us, and that's 6 feet.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
So it's okay.
But you're, just a trombone player, you got an extra little bit of confidence. I never thought about that. I should take it with me when I go out.
Well, sir, thank you very much again. I'm going to sign off here, and you're welcome to call or text or shout at me or anytime. I love talking to you.
Okay, well, hey, thank you, Dan. Really, it's my pleasure. I appreciate the fact that you put up with me.
Later on today, I'm going to be interviewing Dan Barrett, and so I'll say hi for you.
Yeah, please do. I think he did. Dan Barrett. Yeah, Dan Barrett brings a story to mind that I probably should not mention, but well.
Can't tell in public? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not anything like that. I was talking to him one time. We were playing probably a Sacramento Jazz Festival, and I said something about the fact that some people have a tendency to play if they know how something is supposed to go, they're going to play it that way whether the rest of the band does or not. I said to Dan, if you're not playing what the whole rest of the band is playing, then you're the one that's wrong. That's the way I put it. And he said it took me a long time to figure that out.
All right, Jen. I'm signing off. Please take care of yourself.
Yeah, God bless, Dan. Thank you.
You too, sir. You take care.
Thank you for watching Trad Jazz Today. Dan shows new interviews every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Make sure to check out the archive of past shows, and please give us a thumbs up when you subscribe to the channel. Bye.